Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Sai. Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद से अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गौ गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरिवर्धन की जय, वृंदावन धाम की जय, नवद्वीप धाम की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय, गंगा माई की जय, जमुना माई की जय, तुलसी देवी की जय, भक्ति देवी की जय, स्वामी तो भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
You're welcome. You can
Thank you very
start
much.
now, please.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. So before we start, I'd like to offer our respect. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirai Nashta Praesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhagavati Naistiki. So we're taking our reading today from Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 2. So we are entering into a new chapter, which is very nice. So I will just read. Narada Vacha Paracharya Mahabhaga Bhavata Gachiatmana Paritusyati Sharira Atma Manasahi Bhava. Narada Vacha Paracharya Mahabhaga Bhavata Gachidatmana Paritusyati Sharira Atma Manasayeva. Narada Uvacha Paracharya Mahabhaga Bhavata Kastyatmana Paritishyanti Sharira Atma Manasayeva. So what translation? Narada Uvacha said, Paracharya, O son of Parashara, Mahabhaga, the greatly fortunate, Bhavata, your casket, if it is, Atmana, by the self-realization of Paritushati, does it satisfy? Sharira, identifying the body. Atma, self. Manasaha, identifying the mind. Eva, certainly. Va, and. So translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So translation. Addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Parashara, Narada inquired, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as object of self-realization? I repeat, addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Parashara, Narada inquired, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as object of self-realization. Purport is a very short purport. This was a hint by Narada to Vyasadeva regarding the cause of his despondency. Vyasadeva, as the descendant of Parashara, a greatly powerful sage, had the privilege of having a great parentage, which should not have given Vyasadeva cause of despondency. Being a great son of a great father, he should not have identified himself with the body or the mind. Ordinary men, not fond of knowledge, can identify the body as self or the mind as self, but Vyasadeva should not have done so. One cannot be cheerful by nature unless one is factually seated in self-realization, which is transcendental to the material body and mind. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Kavichandra Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Prabhupadartari Nama Pracharini Grata Vitarana Pritibhya Shishagayini Sada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Prasatyade Shatarini. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha pachitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Hare Krishna. So we'd like to take the permission of the great senior devotees on the platform. There's Maharaj is there, Pari Brajaka Maharaj, and there's Grace Ganga Prasad Prabhu. So His Grace Upala Prabhu also is there. So we'd like to take the mercy of all these senior Vaishnavas so that we can say something for our own purification and for the benefit of others. So today's purpose is very short. So ordinarily, then we have not so much to say because we cannot be commenting on what Prabhupada has not commented so much on. So, so we just try to make the explanation also very short and see whether there will be some question and answer that we can deliberate on. So I will say the verse again. It's addressing Vyasadeva, the son of Parashara. Narada inquire, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as object of self-realization? And towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada say, one cannot be cheerful by nature unless one is factually seated in self-realization, which is transcendental to the material body and mind. So this is a very, very interesting, because this is actually the beginning of spiritual life. So that is why Narada Muni has appeared now, is asking Vyasadeva. Vyasadeva is supposed to be from a great lineage, because our lineage or the family we are coming from actually has a very, very impact on our consciousness. The kind of how we think, sometimes how we behave, kind of sankalpa, you know. So it has some great impact, impress on our mind. That's why you see, naturally, great people, when you look into their lineage, you will discover that they are coming from a very great personality also. And we see in the Bhagavad Gita also many times, Krishna is always referring to the lineage of Arjuna. Oh, Prita, oh, Kanti, you know. So reminding him that, you know, you are from a great lineage, so you are not supposed to be behaving like ordinary person. So our family lineage is actually very important. And that is why sometimes we can see that devotional service, although it may be very difficult for some people, we see that some other people also find it very easy, very, very easy. For them, it's just like a normal way of life. Why some people is like we are swimming against the current, like, you know, especially people from Africa and maybe the Western world also. Because, but in India, most people, you see, devotional service, they find it very easy. You know, it's for them, it's like, okay, what my father has done, my great-grandfather was done. And we can see also, like in the life of Srila Prabhupada, yesterday was the disappearance of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada, his father, is a great Vaishnava. So naturally, and also if you see Bhaktivinoda Thakur also, like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, the father was a great Vaishnava. So for them, spiritual life become like a normal way of life because the blood is flowing inside them. The blood is flowing in them, bhakti. So they naturally have inclination towards Krishna because right from childhood, they are taught on how to worship Krishna, how to serve Krishna. And that is why here, Narada Muni is, kind of talking to Vyasadeva, about his knowledge. You're supposed to be a great personality, the son of Parashara, your father. It's a very great personality. So how has this ignorance come from? Despondency, not satisfied. So how are you identifying with the body? Because actually that is the beginning of spiritual life. We are not the body. Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that as the embodied soul passes, changing body, from boy to youth to old age. Similarly, the soul takes another body at death. So this knowledge is like the nursery or primary education of spiritual life. So that is why here Narada Muni is asking, so where are these ignorance come from? Where has it come from? It's just like, for example, a great personality or a great devotee, very advanced devotee, starts, behaving like somebody who has no knowledge. Then the disciples or all of the devotees will start thinking, what is going on? Maharaji is behaving like this. What is going on? So this is what is happening actually. This is what is happening here. So Vyasadeva is all respected, is a great personality. So now that a spiritual master has come, where is this ignorance is coming from? So as a devotee, we should understand this point also, because as we're studying the scripture, we're supposed to be becoming more and more enlightened in spiritual knowledge. And there are some things that we should not do as a devotee. And it's very easy for us to say this, but in practice, actually, it's very, very difficult. Let's say, for example, devotee Christianizing his activity. To Christianize our activity, actually, it looks so simple when we are saying it. But in actuality, when it comes to practical terms, it's not very easy. It's not as easy as for those who are naturally born and in a devotional environment. Because for us, where we are born from, right from the beginning of our life, we are taught to identify with our body. Oh, you are from this particular tribe, Yoruba. This is how the Yoruba people behave. Or maybe you are from Igbo. You're supposed to be thinking of a business. You are a businessman by nature, money. Or maybe you are Hausa, and you are supposed to be a Muslim. So where we are born from, they program us in a particular way, to think in a particular way. So for us to unprogram or deprogram ourselves, which is the part of the part that Srila Prabhupada has brought for us, to deprogram us from this material consciousness, it's not very easy. So the process of Krishna consciousness is deprogramming the conditioned soul that we are not this body. We are eternally part of Krishna. So that is what Prabhupada has brought. And that is why he named this movement International Society for Krishna Consciousness. That we have to Krishnanize our life. And the process of Krishnanizing our life is a deprogramming process for us, because from our culture where we are born from, we have been programmed to think in a particular way, to act in a particular way, to identify with our particular situation. So it's very, very difficult. It's just like, I will just give a Nigerian example. It's natural for an average Igbo man to think that he must be a Christian, because all of them generally they are Christians. So this is how they are programmed, you know. And also we see the Yoruba tribe also, they are flexible a little bit. You know, they can either be Christian or Muslim. So you can see so many changing also in the course of their life. Also, some of them, they become Muslim in the beginning of their life, then you see them changing to Christian, because this is how the society has programmed them. But Krishna consciousness now is now teaching us that we are not all these identities. We are not this body. We are not this religion. We are eternally part and parcels of Krishna. Mama, if I'm so Jiva Bhuta Sanata, Manasa standing green honey. Prakiti standing greshati. We are struggling with our mind. This programming process actually is happened to be, because the mind is the hard drive of the living entity. So that is where the programming and the programming is taking place. It's our hard drive. So because for beginning of our life, we have been programmed in a particular way. So the programming us to our original state, which is our eternal state, it looks difficult, although it should be easy, but it looks difficult because right from our childhood, we have been taught to think in a particular way. Only some people who are very, very fortunate, who have acted piously in their previous life, like Bhagavad Gita says, and in this life. So if this process of devotion service becomes easy, of programming that we're eternally servant of Krishna. I know many devotees who have stayed in this movement for many years. And when you hear them speaking sometimes, you can understand from the undertone of their current, their voice, that they don't even believe that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. They still thinking that Krishna is an Indian God. You know, even with so many knowledge, reading of books, studying of scripture, hearing lectures, it's still very difficult for them to understand that Krishna is God. They still think it's easier for them to go back to their former religion. Jesus, you can see nowadays also, the Christian, they're already saying that Jesus is God. So which make our preaching more easier, because before this time, they were not thinking that Jesus is God, because they don't believe that God can come to this planet, God can come to the earth. They cannot understand, they cannot comprehend that aspect of knowledge of God. They cannot comprehend it before. But now they are making it very easy even for us. Because now, for them to start believing that Jesus is God, and Jesus came to this planet. So if they can start thinking like that God can come here, it makes it easier for us to be able to preach to them that, okay, if Jesus can come, so you should be able to understand that God himself, Krishna, has come even before Jesus. It makes our preaching very easy. Because before this time, they could not even comprehend this. That God can, to be God means you are independent and you can act, swarat. You are not bound by anything. You are completely independent. You can act based on your own will. That is God, Krishna. Whatever he wills, that is he can do. So it makes our preaching more easier. So like I was saying, so even many devotees, it's very, very difficult for them to even still understand that Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. And it should be easier for us to understand, because we have seen many, many great personalities that did not even come from India, that has shown us towards the end of their life that Krishna is God. Like I will give an example of His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Maharaj. When Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was about to leave this planet, it made it very clear for us. Just like when Prabhupada left, Prabhupada made it very clear to us that Krishna is the supreme God. Even at the time of passing away, he was talking about Krishna, he was thinking about Krishna. This is enough to create faith in the neophyte that, yes, this person really exists. So when Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was leaving, he showed it. Everything about him was Krishna, Krishna. He was about Krishna, Krishna. He was preaching how he is connecting, how he has connected. All this is enough to create enough faith for us that what we are doing is authentic. What what do we need again? What confirmation do we need again? Where do we want confirmation again? When we see those who are practicing it, and towards the end of their life, they are showing that this person we are serving is the Supreme God himself. So, although it's not easy, because from many lives, we have been programmed to believe that everybody wants to be God. It's a subtle thing, very subtle. Actually, in the real sense, nobody wants to surrender to anybody. It's very difficult. And that is why I say, Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Parityaja, Mame Kam Sharana Avraj. If you want to understand me, want to be free from all these material miseries, you have to surrender. If you don't surrender, you cannot understand. It's very difficult. Because why? Why is it difficult? That our first say go thinking that we are the doer, we always come in between us and God. That is why that surrender is needed. And we can see even the living entity. Let me give an example. Our surrender process is very easy for somebody to make life easy for you to really go the right where you are supposed to go. I will give an example. Like we hear about police brutality and all this. Although some of them, they go extreme. But if you really look very closely, you will see, from many videos I've watched, many people who end up getting brutalized by these people. You will see that they are the people who are trying to show their own ego also. I'm supposed to be free, it's my right. And those people also, okay, it's your right also. I'm going to show you that I have power more than you. So there's ego play. So, but you can see in some other situation when somebody completely surrender, the other person will just naturally, his heart also will melt. Surrender actually has a very, very big impact in melting people's heart. When you become humble, we cannot even imagine how it plays on the heart of the living, the top place of the Supreme Personality of God and himself. So that is why this surrender process is very important. And we can see yesterday was despondent, even though you have done everything that is materially, supposed to do materially to be successful. He has done everything, but still he was not happy. Why? Because he has not described about the surrendering process to the Supreme Personality of God, which naturally gives the soul happiness. So that is why his guru has come now and he's telling him, yes, are you satisfied by identifying with the body or the mind as subject of self-realization? So now you are not satisfied. He knows. Him himself discovered the problem before his guru discovered it. He knows that. He knew that I was not satisfied because I've not described about the personality of God. So his guru is confirming it. Yes, you are not happy because you identify with the mind and the senses. So if you want to be happy, we have to go beyond the mind and the senses. But going beyond the mind and the senses is not very easy. That is coming to the mode of goodness. How to elevate ourselves to the mode of goodness is not very easy. Because actually, to really surrender to the Lord means we must come to the mode of goodness. And if you want to come to the mode of goodness, it's not a very easy thing. Me also, before when I was in the temple, and the other devotees are there, 4 o'clock, Magalati, you have to rush, go Magalati, chant your rounds. Automatically you fall into Bhagavatam class. Devotional life looks so easy, everything looks so, everything was just flow. It looks very easy. But when you're now staying on your own, and there's no any other devotees around you, so for Bhagavatam, you can understand how difficult it is that looks so easy when you are with other devotees, how difficult it is. So you have to, use extra energy. Okay, if I have to wake up early, I have to sleep early. Okay, I have to. So because I have to wake up very early, I have to chant. You're chanting alone. When you're chanting with other devotees, it's very sweet, and you can see how it's very sweet to chant, and you can, concentrate very easily. Life looks so easy, but when you are alone or living far from the body, you see how difficult it is. So that is why when we are naturally in the association of devotee, coming to the mode of goodness is very easy. Very, very easy. Very easy. But when you are alone, we can see how passion and ignorance, we want to take dominance. You know, and unless we elevate ourselves from these lower modes of passion and ignorance, we cannot really start understanding that we are not this body. Talk less of practicing devotional service seriously. No, mode of goodness is the beginning. And that is why we can see, like Maharaj was mentioning yesterday, Bhakti Vasudeva Maharaj was talking about the story of Garuda. So he was mentioning how Garuda eats fish. So I was contemplating when he mentioned that Garuda is very close to Lord Vishnu, and his food is fish. How come? So as I was thinking very deeply, I now realized what Bhakti Maharaj always tell us also when we're in the temple. Bhakti Damodara Swami Maharaj, what he may always tell us, that for a basic principle, it's not devotional service. For a basic principle, it's for us to become human beings. So all this is starts playing in my mind when I was hearing this. Devotional service is completely beyond the mode of goodness itself. But this for regulative principle is to bring us to that platform of mode of goodness, where it will be easy for us to chant the names of Krishna, to study about Krishna. Because unless we come to the mode of goodness, spiritual life will be very difficult. Spiritual life will be like taking medicine. We all know how it's not very sweet when you are taking bitter medicine. We all know, we have the experience, maybe when we fall ill, it's not very sweet. Taking medicine is not sweet. But when you are sick, you are forced to take. So that is the same situation we find ourselves. We are sick. We are spiritually sick. We are in our unnatural nature. But we have identified this unnatural nature to be natural. Because everybody around pretending, I will use that word, pretending to be okay materially. But nobody is okay. We all know this. So to now deprogram ourselves, because when you interact with one-on-one on people, you will know that people are they're not okay, no matter how they look externally. They are not okay. One thing or the other is bothering them. If it's not family issue, it's financial issue. If not financial issue, health issue. If it's not health issue, disease in the body, So many things, everybody have his own, Materially, we're not okay. So we can only be okay when we connect back to our original nature, which is the spiritual nature. No matter whatever is the material condition, that will not bother us again. We all know this. And from experience, from practicing Krishna consciousness, we have experienced this also. That when you are spiritually situated, you tend to be okay. No matter whatever material situation you are in, you'll be okay. Because that is our original nature. Prabhupada mentioned towards the end of the purport. So one cannot be cheerful by nature unless one is factually seated in self-realization, which is a transcendent to material body and mind. One cannot be cheerful. We cannot be happy. It's not possible. So as a devotee, we have to just follow this principle that Srila Prabhupada has set for us to bring us to this platform of goodness, where we can practice devotional service very easily and achieve the goal of life. Coming to mode of goodness for us, is the goal for now. Nashta Prayeshwa Bhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki. By regularly attending in the Bhagavatam class, we can come to this mode of goodness. That is what this verse is saying. Because by regularly attending in Bhagavatam class, the lower modes will gradually be leaving us. Because in actuality, in the material world, there's nothing but the three modes. There's nothing but the three modes. He's the one, pushing us here and there, going there, pushing us, chasing after so many things. But unless we come to the mode of goodness, where we can easily chant Hare Krishna mantra, read the scriptures, we cannot be happy. That's what Prabhupada is saying in this purport. So that is the process of devotional service. That is why Srila Prabhupada has created this movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, where people can come together to encourage themselves to be Krishna conscious. That is the purpose of this movement. And if we are not getting this point, that is the purpose of this movement, then we are missing the point to become Krishna conscious. Because when we become Krishna conscious, at the end of the day, at the end of our life, we can attain the perfection of life, which is Ate Narayana Smriti, to remember Narayan at the end of your life. Just like I was giving the example of His Holiness Bhaktisiddhanta Swami Maharaj. We can see how deep Maharaj was when he was leaving the planet. I was watching one video and he was saying, yes, Maharaj, I'm there. Radha Swami Maharaj also was with him towards the end. So he was saying, yes, I'm there. Please. So Maharaj was connecting. And he gave one very wonderful lecture, which I love, that becoming stone in the spiritual world. Become stone in the spiritual world. I've forgotten the retitle of that lecture. That shows the deep humility of Maharaj. Because we are all full of false ego. And our false ego is the last element that will be dissolved. We cannot understand how big our ego is. It's very big. And it's the last element, because all these elements are there in the universe itself. So, and false ego is the last element to dissolve before we can realize, talking about this self-realization, because we can realize the false ego is always interfering. So it's the last element to be dissolved. So Maharaj was giving this lecture about becoming a stone in Vrindavan. So at that point, he has reached the peak of spiritual realization that even if I become stone in Vrindavan, it's perfection of life for me. Because sometimes we want to become gopis, we want to become cowhead boys, we want to become... These are very, very high platform, my brothers and sisters. It's not to become gopis, to become gopas, even to become the cow of Krishna. Talk less of becoming the Mother Yashoda, following the Mother Yashoda or Nanda Maharaj. These are very, very high elevated position. Very, very high. But Maharaj was saying, just like we see in the story of Lord Brahma also. Lord Brahma was, when we come to the peak of spiritual realization, it will eat us. We become humble. That is why when we study the songs of our predecessors, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, we see how humble they express themselves in those bhajans. You can see how humble they express themselves. They want to become warm in the stew of devotees. They want to be this. Lord Brahma was praying after realizing Krishna that even if I become a grass in your abode, my Lord, I will be okay. As long as when your devotees are passing, they can step on me. This is the peak of humility. I don't want to become gopis. I don't want to become gopas. I don't want to become even Mother Yashoda. Sometimes we say all this, but we don't understand how high they are. But Lord Brahma is saying, even if I can become a grass, even when Lord Krishna sent Uddhava to Vrindavan, when Uddhava, after analyzing the gopis and their deep level of self-realization to Krishna, even Uddhava, who is directly friend of Krishna himself, was praying that he can become grass, even at the border of Vrindavan, so that when gopis are passing, they can just step on him. When he saw the love. So when we are talking about love for Krishna, we cannot imagine, we can only read about it in the scripture and be able to get some Even the taste, I don't think we are getting drop of the taste. Because if we understand and we are getting drop of the taste, we will not want to get any identification in this world. We don't want to even become a sciencey or whether a brahmana or whatever. We want to become das and no das, like Chaitanya Prabhu mentioned. We want to become servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. Because this position, they are very, very high. So Bajita Maharaj was saying, even if I can become a stone in Vrindavan, I will consider my life to be perfect. I just want to be in Vrindavan. So this is a very high level of self-realization. And when we come to that level of self-realization, we become very humble. That is the beginning of spiritual life, actually. So whatever we are doing, whatever spiritual life we are doing now, like explaining in the third canto of Bhagavatam, the conversation between Vidura and Material Rishi, they are all tinged with the modes of material nature. Devotionals having the mode of ignorance, devotionals having the mode of passion, and devotionals having the mode of goodness. So we have not even got a glimpse of the taste of pure devotional service itself, which if you're able to taste it, we don't want any designation. So Nada Muni was explaining, and I was studying the first canto. So Nada Muni, during his self-realization, when he was after meeting the Bhaktivedanta, he was mentioning. So Nada Muni was saying that on our own, just like Prabhupada said the standard for us to come to the mode of goodness, on our own, we can practice devotional service to come to the mode of goodness. But to transcend the mode of nature, of goodness, we cannot do it on our own, only by the mercy of the Guru. You cannot enter into spiritual life or spiritual world without the mercy of the Guru, without the permission of the Guru. So now let me now bring it back. Unlike some of us, because sometimes some devotees, after studying the scriptures, here and there, wide, sometimes some devotees will start thinking that we are even more advanced than our Guru. Then tell me how you are going to enter spiritual life when your humility have not started. It's just like when you read the Madhura Kandabini of Vishwanatha Chakravarti, when he was mentioning, when we become very eager in the beginning of spiritual life, we start studying the scripture. We start even thinking that we are even more knowledgeable than our Guru. And that is anarthas. We have not even reached anartha nevriti. It's still just like we start weeding start cutting the weeding. So the first Guru will start coming. You can even think that you know more than the Guru. So tell me, even if we don't have so much, we have not become humble. I was talking about humility then when I was saying Brahma wants to become grass, like Krishna Prabhu was talking about stone. But now, even we have not practiced to that level that we become humble. Even some of us are even thinking that we are even knowledgeable or more spiritually advanced than our Guru. Now tell me where we are going to get the mercy of the Guru to transcend, to be able to understand spiritual life, or to practice spiritual life. It's not going to come. Because if you think that you are more advanced than your Guru, you cannot get his mercy. Our endeavor is not enough. And that is why I would like to talk something about the month we are in, which is Damodara Kartik, which is a very nice, auspicious month for us to get mercy from Srimati Radharani. So the pastime, Namami Shwaram Sakchi Ananda Rupam Lasakudalam Gokule Prajamalam Yashoda Biyolu Kalada Bamalam Paramischamantyanta Todrutagopya. So this verse describes how Mother Yashoda loved for Krishna. After Krishna has done his mischief, and now Mother Yashoda wants to bind Krishna. We all know these pastimes. He wants to bind Krishna. And he was struggling to bind Krishna. Because the whole process of Krishna consciousness is for us to bind Krishna in our heart. This is the whole process of Krishna consciousness. This is the point. The perfection of life is not become sciencey, to become perfect Grihasta, to become Vanaprastha, to become Brahmana, to just continue to mention the designation in the Pana and Ashrama. This is not the perfection. This is not the perfection of life, as explained by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. The perfection of life is Krishna praying to develop pure love for Krishna. When we bind Krishna in our heart, this is the perfection of life. If you have any other desire apart from this, you have missed the goal. You have missed the point. Because why? Why I'm saying this is that other desire will be fulfilled. You want to become a sannyasi, you become a sannyasi. You want to become a guru, you become a guru. Okay, you want to become a famous person. Oh, it's very easy. You can get it just by chanting. All these desires can be fulfilled. You want to be respected, you want position. Oh my God, that is very cheap for Krishna to give you. But to bind Krishna in the heart, no. Even Mother Yashoda tried. He could not. Mother Yashoda tried. He was trying. He collected all the ropes in the whole nadagram. And still it was too short. He tried. And when Krishna saw the endeavor of Mother Yashoda, he took pity on the mother, and he allowed him to be banned. So all our endeavor in spiritual life is for us to bind Krishna in our heart. And that's why I love this name Prabhupada has given to his movement. He cannot, Prabhupada, is not an ordinary, it's transcendental, it's from spiritual world himself. And whatever he has done it on purpose. He knows why he has done whatever he has done. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. International Society for Krishna Consciousness. So the whole essence of creating this movement is for us to train us, to cultivate us, to be able to become Krishna conscious, to bind Krishna in our heart, like Mother Yashoda, which is not very easy. It's not very easy. It's not very easy. So only by the mercy of the Guru, on our own endeavor, we can come to the mode of goodness. But to bound Krishna, you cannot do it on your own endeavor. It's by the mercy of Guru and Krishna. Not by, no innate, if you like, you study the Vedas, you become Sanskrit scholar, whatever you can, you become this, that. With all these material things, you cannot bind Krishna. Only by the mercy of the Guru and Krishna. Like this story of Mother Yashoda and Krishna. So one is endeavor, the other one is the mercy. So the mercy should be 75%. Yes, because on our own endeavor, we may be carried away with our first ego, thinking, no. So we should depend on the mercy, like Prabhupada says, that we should act as if everything depends on us, and we should think as if everything depends on Krishna. This should be the mode of the devotee. So as a devotee, we should understand the goal of Krishna consciousness, and we should always keep it. We should not miss it. No matter whatever happens in our life, we should understand this. This is the goal. We should not miss the goal. Because why? There must be some distraction. There may be some ups and downs. But if we don't miss the goal, we always, aim at the goal, or we always keep the goal at heart. It may take some time, but we will get there. Hare Krishna. So I don't know, maybe there's some comment, contribution. We still have some time. We can attend to them, or some correction also. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu for your class. Thank you. Can you hear me?
I'm hearing you, Prabhu.
Yeah, we have so many questions online. I will give them space before I ask my own question. We begin from George Amega. Amega, please unmute yourself.
Okay. Yeah. Krishna Prabhu, Dandavas Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhu, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you very
Okay.
clearly, Prabhu.
Prabhu, my question is, okay, Prabhu, thank you for the wonderful lecture this morning. Prabhu, my question is, ordinarily, we human beings, we have 4 kind of defects that easily to make mistake, to cheat, imperfect senses, and to be illusion. So, such an elevated person like Dave, I would like to know that these 4 defects in terms of mistake, is that the way we should term it, that on his part, is it a mistake as applied to we normal human beings? I hope you understand my question.
Yeah, I understand your question, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay, Prabhu, thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the nice question. So the thing that is there is that from the previous chapter, we have been hearing from different speakers, even from chapter 3 of this first canto, we have heard also how Vyasadeva is not an ordinary personality, a literal incarnation of Krishna himself, Shatya.
Yeah.
So that 4 defects cannot be found in him. It's because he's not an ordinary person. Okay. That 4 defects cannot be found in him. Okay. So this great personality, whatever they are passing through, or whatever lila, we call their activity, we call it lila, pastimes. Means that it's like a drama. Already somebody has written it, and now they are enacting it. So Krishna has already said, okay, Vyasadeva, this is how you're going to do this, what is going to happen. It's just like the story of Parishit Maharaj also, so that Bhagavatam can come. So this personality is their activities is already written down. Okay, this is going to happen so that all the living entity can benefit. Yeah. So his own despondency or unsatisfied nature is not due to 4 defects, or him not compiling the Bhagavatam in the first instance is not due to the 4 defect. It's just the pastimes, how the Lord wants it to happen. I don't know, maybe I'm able to answer your question.
Thank you.
Okay, our next question is from Kishori. Kishori, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, can I be heard?
Yeah.
Last week I was Krishna Sevika last week. Now I'm Kishori. I wonder who I'm going to be. I wonder who I'm going to be next month, changing bodies. Anyway, I have no control over what name appears. But I appreciate your class, Prabhu. It was very practical, and I really appreciated very much what you were talking about the depth of our conditioning, how it's not an easy thing to overcome. And speaking from India right now, where I've spent some time, I can see how Indians naturally gravitate toward a life of difficulty and austerity. You know, they will line up under very adverse weather conditions for hours in some cases to have darshan of Krishna. You'll see them sleep. A whole family will be sleeping on the sidewalk with the only thing between them and the sidewalk is the chadar. So these people will put themselves through austerities that we in the West would never even imagine putting ourselves through. And they're attached from gross sensuality to quite a large extent. So I can see how when Prabhupada talks about the great fortune, blessing, and boon of being born in an Indian body, it's nothing to be minimized, because they automatically take to some kind of devotional thing. And then even in the morning, the few times I've gone in Vrindavan Parikrama, you'll see people doing Dandavat Parikrama. Sometimes they're using a piece of styrofoam or a cloth, or in many cases, they're just laying their body down on the flat road, and they will do this for hours at a time without any consideration for comfort or anything else. Now, a lot of them are not doing this to attain to pure devotional service. There's, mixed motives and everything else. But the point is, they will put themselves through these, rigors and austerities without really much consideration of their own personal comfort. So it really is a very advantageous position being born in an Indian body, more so in India. That's all I wanted to.
Thank you very much for your contribution. So it's just like it's the same thing also, just like we have been hearing again and again that the material body is a machine, yatra, rudani maya, that they are just like you said. So it's true. So some machine, they have some capability and capacity, that another machine cannot, they don't really have. Like you gave example of the Indian body is easy for them to do austerity. That is true. That is true. Like the Western body, they are used to comfort. That is, we can see that even the, like some of African also, we are natural, African also, the afternoon of, every situation is austerity here in Africa also. So that is why you see many people, they can become easily religious also. Yeah, you see many of them, they go millions in churches and all those because of this kind of situation. But that is like what you said also, some of them are mixed mode. They are mixed mode. They are not pure devotional service. They do them because they want some material comfort or whatever. But this body, the body they have can, undergo some, serious austerity to some extent. Yeah. Yes, that is it. So different body, different situation, different condition. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for your contribution, Prabhu.
Okay, our next question is from Sukadev Goswami.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
And then the great super.
Please accept our greetings, Prabhu. I'm very, very joyful for the wonderful class and the wonderful explanation. But I have a question, just one question, and it's in regards to what you said earlier on about how easy for one to truly be able to love Krishna. Like you said, like for example, you gave an explanation of the different tribes in Nigeria, like the Hausa tribe, the Igbo tribe, and the Yoruba tribe. And based on their nature and based on the environment that they come from, it becomes difficult for them to be able to Krishnanize their activity, even if they come to Krishna consciousness. So in this regard, I have a question. The question is in the fourth canto of this, fourth or fifth canto, fourth canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam about King Vena and his son, Maharaj Anga and his son, wicked Vena. It is said there that the Brahmanas, they said that because King Vena was born from the womb of a woman whose family are Asuras, because of that, he is contaminated. Even though his father is a perfect devotee of the Lord, but because he was born from the womb of a woman whose lineage are not very favorable towards devotees, so he has this demoniac tendency. And also we see a contrast to this in the life of Vibhishan, who also was born in the family of a devotee, who is born in a devotee family. His brothers are Rakshasas and everything, but still he was different. And also there's a contrast in that of Prahlad Maharaj. His father was a devotee, but still he was different. So what the question I'm trying to arrive at is, so many of us were born in devotee family, and sometimes we see that the devotee children or stuff like that, they behave in ways that they can't even Krishnanize their activity. And then we see some people that they are not even born in a devotee family, but they come into the Krishna consciousness and they are able to Krishnanize all their activity to the end of their life. So how do we balance this contrast, Prabhu? This is my question.
Thank you very much for the quite wonderful question also. So like you mentioned, some people are born in devotee family, but we got them to become devotee, and some people, they come right from the outside, they become devotee. All this is due to karma sometime, and also environment. I would say environment in the terms like we see, and also sometimes it's due to age also. Age has great impact on how we behave, how we think. Sometimes, in devotional habit, we don't consider all these things, but they really have effect on us. It's just like, that is why you see so many Indians, if you preach to them, they say, no, devote bhakti is for when I become old. Now let me walk. Krishna saying, Bhagavad Gita, your work is your religion. So, because this is how some of their parents have taught them that, okay, renunciation is when you become old. And we can see some of us when we are young, because of that useful exuberance, we want to experience so many things, we want to do so many things. And this really affects us from focusing on devotional service, which is true. And that is why I remember one of the devotees was, when somebody was talking about condemning himself or talking that they are not practicing properly, I remember one of the lecture that I forgot who gave that lecture. He was saying that sometimes we should not be too tough on ourselves, you know. We should not be too tough on ourselves. And that's why you see some devotee children, they become karmics because maybe their parent is too tough on them, or maybe their parents also, they're not so much exemplary, they're not so many exemplary behavior. Because see, let me tell you one thing. There's nobody who will not like to do something that is good. If you are convinced why you should do it. Because every living entity likes something that is good, and we like something that will benefit us. So nobody will want to do contrary. So many a times we can see in the devotee life. Let's say, for example, I'm a devotee, my wife is a devotee. Now we're trying to train our children. And at home, our children, they sit down, they listen to us every day. Whenever we want to discuss, we start criticizing the other devotees. Oh, that Prabhu. It's like this, it's like that. He doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. And we don't know that these children, they're very, very, very intelligent. They're analyzing everything. So you are criticizing all the people who are practicing with you. And now tomorrow you want him to practice when you have already condemned all the practitioners. So how do you want it to be easy for the child to practice? Surely we want to go to some different environment where they love themselves and they take care for themselves and talk good about themselves. So this thing happen in our environment, but we don't take note of them. And that is why the parent, they should be very, very careful. We should not criticize other devotees in front of our children. If we really want them to follow, we should not criticize devotee in front of our children because they are listening to us. So when they listen to all this criticism, then tomorrow you want to come and chant Sisteran and say, why should I chant Sisteran? Other people who are chanting, how are they behaving? What is the, and why the other people who are coming from outside, who has already experienced what it means to suffer, material, who have gotten some material experience, it's easy for them to even come. And we see some of them also when they come sometime and when they associate also, they start seeing how we criticize ourselves, how we treat ourselves. You see, they start slacking down also. So all this is due to association. It's due to association. Not in all cases, but most of the times. It's due to association. So that is why when we are bringing up our children, we should be exemplary, number one. And number two, we should not talk ill of other devotees in front of them. At least we should try as much as possible to follow these principles, and let us leave them to our own. Let us leave them to their own karma. If you have behaved nicely, you are very nice to them, and you have shown them the right path, surely, naturally, they're supposed to be able to follow. But if they don't follow, means that is not for them, and we should not be too hard on them. Also, oh, I disown you and do this. No, Prabhupada was not too hard on his children. He allowed them, and many of them, at the end of the day, they started coming associating with the devotees. So we should understand that we should do our own part and leave the rest. So that is my own little contribution. I don't know, maybe I'm able to answer your question, Prabhu.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Just a question.
No, we have a second question. We take one question per devotee now. Time is going. Our next question, please, from Ganga Prashar Prabhu. Ganga, please.
Hare Krishna, Dandawa Pranam. I actually don't have a question, but
Please.
I have compliment and humor. My compliment is that the volume of enthusiasm, confidence that you exude, it sounds like there's nothing like despondency around you. That's why I want you to give the secret of your not having despondency like yesterday. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Babu. Hare Krishna, Babu. Thank you very much for your contribution and encouragement. I would say it, encouragement. Yes, Babu. So the thing that is there, like Kusha Babu used to tell me, whenever Kusha Babu called me, he would say, Kavi, are we chopping your millions? So what I was trying to say is that as a spiritual practitioner, just like what you say, Prabhu, as a Grihasta, now we begin to realize more and more that it's good for us to have a balanced life, spiritual and material. If you are a Grihasta and you are always spiritual, and you are not attending to your material responsibility, I will use your material responsibility, you are going to be despondent, just like Sheila Vyasadeva. Because Sheila Vyasadeva was material, but he was neglecting the spiritual. So that is why he was despondent. So he has to balance it. So the same thing also as a Grihasta, we have to balance our life like a train running on a 2-track. You have to be spiritual and you have to attend to your material responsibilities if you really want to practice Krishna consciousness. If you neglect either of them as a Grihasta, you will not have a balanced life. I don't so Baba, I don't know, maybe thank you very much for your comments.
So our next question is from Sahadev Prabhu. Sahadev, please. Is he listening or is he at work? Sahadev, your hand is up. You can ask your question. Sahadev is not coming, so we take again from Sukadev Goswami. Sukadev, you can ask your second question.
Sorry, I'm a bit outside. There's dog around, so I can't ask the question now. But I will send it as a group. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question, Kavikarnapura. Thank you for telling us the secret of your. Thank you for answering Ganga Prashad, revealing the secret of your not being despondent, like Vyasadeva. You have balanced material opulence and spiritual piety. So my question is on the verse of today. Prabhupada, Narabuni is telling Vyasadeva, why are you being despondent? And you mentioned in the course of your lecture, because Vyasadeva from a great family is not supposed to be despondent. So that means naturally Narada Muni wants him to be spiritually peaceful and happy. So my question is comparing it with karmis or non-devotees whose parents or ancestors are not highly spiritual like the ancestors of Vyasadeva. Normally one will expect them to also follow the path of their own fathers, which is not being spiritual. Because here Narada Muni is expecting Vyasadeva to be like his ancestors, highly spiritual, not being despondent. So a kami or a non-devotee can also say he or she is following his own ancestors' way of life, which is not being spiritual. So how can you explain this?
If I may get your question properly, you're saying that if ordinary material person follow his own ancestors' life, is supposed to be happy also. I don't know. I don't get your point.
Yes, because we are supposed to leave them in peace because they are following their own ancestors. Here, Narada Muni did not leave Vyasadeva in peace. He's complaining to him why he's not happy, because he's not following his own ancestors' way, which is being even to his elevated devotee. So when somebody is not spiritual, we should also leave them in peace because they are also following their own parents not being spiritual. So why do we bother them to become devotees? Why they already engaged in the ancestors' lineage activities?
Okay. Okay, that is a very nice, very nice controversial question. Yes, the thing that is here is that, like now, even though my Guru Maharaj always tell me, preach, but the more I relate with people and maybe they are practicing their own religion, the more I feel reluctant to preach because I'm thinking that they are practicing what they think is they understand. Just like what you are saying. They are practicing what they think they understand. So why should I tell them to come and practice my own? So now the more Guru Maharaj was giving that instruction, so the more I began to understand more and more. One thing about devotional service is that Nobody can go back home, back to Godhead without understanding who God is. That is Krishna himself. And knowing his pastime. That's why that Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, Janma Karma Chame Ibam Yu Vitita Tataha. So unless we understand who God is, his activities, his pastimes, we cannot go to the kingdom of God. Okay. Yanti Deva Brata Deva, Yanti Priti Vrataha. Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita also. It's all right. Whatever you worship is what you will attain. If you follow your ancestral worship, okay, you worship ghosts and spirit, you will go to ghosts and spirit. But if you want to go to the supreme personality of God, a Krishna abode, you must practice devotional service. There is no way. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. There's no alternative. If it is Krishna, you want to attain the supreme personality of God and himself, there is no other way. If you're a Christian, yeah, it's good. You will go to heaven where Jesus is. That's what Krishna that's why Krishna say, in Vaikuntha planet, there's so many Vaikuntha planet. And even in heavenly planet also itself, there's so many different levels of heavens. So whatever you practice, that you will attain. So we have to make people who understand this very clearly. Whatever you practice, you will attain that. So if you are satisfied with your own attainment, then there's no need to disturb the person. But if you want something more, which is the natural nature of a human being, we always anchoring for something more, for something higher. And if you want that, you have to follow the footsteps of Vyasadeva, of engaging in devotional service, practicing devotional service. Because only devotional service will reveal to you who Krishna is. What our acharyas has given to us. There is nobody, you go and study, I've not studied all the books in this world, but from my own research, analyzing the religion of the world, there is nobody in the world who has given us what our acharyas has given us in terms of information about who God is, his activities, his relationship with his devotees. There is nowhere in the world you will get that detailed information. There's nowhere. So much detailed information, who he is, how he looks, how he relates with his devotee. You're not going to get it anywhere. No, it's not possible. So if you want to really attain the supreme God, the creator of this universe, and you want to relate with him, you have to serve, you have to practice devotional service. If somebody is not ready to come to that level, let him be in his level and be peaceful. No problem. But somebody wants something higher. We have to, if we are not giving Krishna consciousness to them, then we are committing violence, like Papa mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. We are committing violence. So, in a nutshell, I will just say, yes, there's, like Krishna mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, there is no need to disturb the ignorance one. He mentioned it very clearly. And Prabhupada mentioned in the purport of that Bhagavad Gita that devotees are even more compassionate than Krishna himself, that they go extra mile to disobey Krishna's instruction of not disturbing the ignorance one, to give them the path of pure devotional service, which is only obtainable in the Vaishnavism. There's no where in the universe where you will get the knowledge about God compared to where you get in our paramparam. There's nowhere. We can start making research now. There's nowhere. What Jiva Goswami has given us, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, Srila Prabhupada himself, Bhaktisiddhanta. When you study this great personality, you know the wealth we have. You cannot find it anywhere. And these people, they are the most genius in the universe, intimately relating with Krishna. So where are we going to get all this? So, yeah, if somebody wants to remain in primary school, don't disturb him. If somebody say he want to end his own education in secondary school, let him collect his school cert and be happy with that. But if somebody want to get into PhD and more knowledge, professorship in terms of God, you cannot be happy with all those lower qualifications. You have to go higher. And it's only in Vaishnavism, in Gaudiya Vaishnava, Krishna consciousness, we can get this. And that is what I will just say. Thank you very much.
Sahadev is back with his question. Sahadev, please.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Thank you much, everyone. Hare Krishna. You did spend more time on the importance of humility.
Yes, Prabhu.
And my question is on humility.
Yes, Prabhu.
To me, it's much easier to be humble being in the devotional atmosphere. Like if you're living in a temple or if you're doing any sort of devotional activity, it's much easier to be humble and submissive. But when you're working in the corporate world, being humble is actually like a poison to yourself, because when you try to be humble, then people think that you are actually responsible for whatever the problem they're talking about is. For instance, if they're complaining that somebody did something crazy and it was you who did it, and you want to be humble and say, actually, I didn't do it, but you are not stressing much enough that you didn't do it, then it becomes a problem. So my question is, how do we as devotees try to be humble in the corporate world?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhu, for the wonderful question. Inspiring question to encourage us. So, Prabhu, yes, we can take an example from Srila Narada Muni. He gave a very wonderful example of how we can operate in the corporate world, you know, and that example of a snake, you know, Narada Muni preached to a snake, and a snake became a devotee. So because now the devotee, a snake is a devotee. You know, naturally a snake is envious of anything. If he see anything, he wants to strike. Now that he has become a devotee, so when the children saw that this snake is not doing that, so they start pushing him here and there. They start using stick to carry him and throw him here. So when his guru came back, Narada Muni, so he complained to his guru, now that you have made me a devotee, see how I'm suffering. So then his guru now explained to him that because you are a devotee doesn't mean that you should become stupid. You don't become stupid as a devotee. When they come near you, you should raise your hood, but don't bite. That is a devotee. You should raise your hood. So when they see you raising your hood, they will be scared. They will be scared away, but don't bite. And in your heart, you don't have the intention of biting. So what Narada Muni is trying to instruct us in essence is that as a devotee, humility doesn't mean stupidity. Actually, humility means devotion to God. That is the simple definition of humility. Devotion to God, humility. If you understand that your real eternal nature is to serve God, it's automatically you become humble. Like Shitaima Prabhu mentioned, Tirna happy sunichina, Taro api isaishuna, Amani na manade na, Kitanya sadahari. We become like tolerant like a tree, lower like a blade of grass. This we should only exhibit in the association of devotees, because we are all striving for the same goal. But if we find ourselves in a corporate world, then we have to apply this principle of Sri Narada Muni, of a snake, the story of a snake as a devotee. We should not be stupid, because then everybody will ride on us. We should be firm and know when to act and when not to act. That is just the simple illustration of that story. Raise your wood, but don't bite. Means we should not take a shit, but we should be always in our heart. Very well, we should be well-wisher for other living entities. I think that is what I can explain in this aspect. I don't know, maybe I'm able to answer your question, Prabhu.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji.
I'm very good.
We have a comment. We have a comment in the chat room from Paribrajaka Maharaj.
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you,
He
Maharaj.
said, Dandavar Pranam to you. He's saying, I would just like to add that the mercy of Vaishnavas is even more deeply valuable than that coming from Guru, in the sense that it is taken more sweetly by the Supreme Lord. Why? Because we can say intellectually, or even with some realization, that Guru is Sakshat Hari and Krishna is everything. But to see the efficacy of the potency of the Vaishnavas, that is very difficult for us. Krishna said, Aham Bhakta Paradino. He becomes enslaved by the love and affection shown by his devotees. For us, it is very difficult to see that the Vaishnavas are holding the key to our success in spiritual development. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your comments. We really appreciate that. Thank you, Maharaj, for taking your time to listen and commenting. Thank you, Maharaj.
You have one last question from Opala Prabhu. Opala, please.
Prabhu. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes, we can hear you, Prabhu.
Okay, Prabhu. Prabhu, I want to thank you very much for the wonderful class. And I also wish to express my gratitude to you for being part of the facilitation of this platform, by virtue of which we are opportune to be hearing from great personalities from around the world. Somehow learning to be a devotee. So I thank you very much, Prabhu. Then my little question is this: is that the scripture emphasizes on the need of following the instructions of the spiritual master. That if we did this, our life will be successful in whatever endeavor we are in. So, you know,
I know. I know. Yeah, now.
You can now answer,
please.
please.
The line is breaking. We are not hearing Prabhu. Yeah.
Kavi, you can now answer him. His network is not too good.
Yeah, I didn't get the question because the line was breaking. Did you get the question, Prabhu?
I'm coming. I think we have some scripture that it is very important for us to follow the instructions of our spiritual master. If we did this, then of course there will be success. So you mentioned that your Guru Dev and his presence is always telling you to preach, to preach, to preach. Is it not? Are you hearing me?
Oh, Prabhu, did you hear him, Prabhu Kusha?
Opala, please, can you write your question on the chat room? Kindly write your question on the chat room. Any other question? In the absence of no question, we are going to close the class. Opala will write his question on the chat room.
Sorry, Prabhu, we could not hear you. Sorry for the, it's network breaking. We cannot hear you. So we thank all the devotees for their time.
Kindly unmute yourself and let's chant Hare Krishna to Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Panchaka Patarubhyasya, Kripa Sindhya Vacha, Patitanam Pavanembhyo, Vaishnavyo Namo Namo.
Hare Krishna. Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama